line from the Brexit vote and 7 months down the line from the triggering of Article 50, and I suppose we'll have to ask what's new. And I don't think many of us are much the wiser as to what Brexit will actually look like now as to what we were last year. I sit on the Culture, Tourism, Europe and External Relations Committee, where we've been undertaking an inquiry into the Article 50 negotiations. And it's on some of the key elements that we've heard in evidence there that I want to focus on today, in particular the rights of EU citizens. Because while we keep hearing from the UK Government that much progress has been made, there remain serious hurdles that have to be overcome, and that was confirmed by David Davis in his evidence this morning, with no explanation yet as to how that will be done. The rights of future family members, the recognition of professional qualifications, UK citizens' rights to move within the rest of Europe, and the role of the European Court of Justice in dispute resolution being some of those issues. But the one overarching thread which runs through all of that and all the evidence that we heard is the remaining uncertainty and the lack of clarity for all involved. We heard from panels of legal experts, academics, Lord Kerr, who played a role in drafting Article 50 itself. Dr Tobias Locke from the University of Edinburgh highlighted the situation of EU citizens who are now finding it difficult to find jobs because employers don't know what their situation is going to be in 18 months' time, and to find housing because landlords are reluctant to take them on as tenants. And this wasn't just speculation. We had confirmation of that from EU citizens themselves who are living the experience of this every single day. We heard from Eva Smirzinska of the Fife Migrants Forum, who told us that she had been directly told that she had been turned down for a job because her prospective employer would have to spend time training her, to potentially then be told that they were no longer allowed to employ anyone from the EU and they would then have to let her go. It's just blatant discrimination, and discrimination based on an incredibly worrying lack of knowledge, a lack of knowledge and certainty on the side of those working here about their rights, as well as on the side of employers who are very badly informed. But there are even more worrying trends developing. Yesterday, The Guardian published an article which highlighted how the uncertainty over Brexit is leading to downright exploitation by unscrupulous employers across the country, citing case after case where workers, particularly those in low-paid jobs, are being mistreated and having their rights abused. A comment from Barbara Drozdovich, CEO of the East European Resource Centre, echoed what we heard in committee. She stated, "People are worried that they will hire someone and they will have to leave," which isn't true, but shows employers are badly informed. The other side is that there are employers who I believe now want only Eastern European workers because they can treat them badly and threaten them with false information. Margaret Beales, who chairs the Gangmaster and Labour Abuse Authority, highlighted an even more sinister side. People have gone from being unsure about their rights to being tricked into thinking they have no rights at all. By adding yet another layer of uncertainty, Brexit has made it even easier for people trafficking and slavery to take place. Now, it's not hard to understand the lack of knowledge on rights, given the continued uncertainties around the negotiations. And are EU citizens living here directly given the most up-to-date information to help ease that? This was a question posed by the committee to the Fife Migrants Forum. And the answer, they pretty much sourced that information themselves. On the government website, we're told that Theresa May wrote directly to EU citizens in the UK prior to her recent visit to Brussels. Well, no, she didn't. She published a letter online offering reassurances that she hoped would provide further helpful certainty. But they're meaningless reassurances because there is no certainty and people are losing out on homes and jobs because of it. And this is something which is particularly personal to me and my family because I'm married to an EU citizen. We've gone from looking at him applying for permanent residency here to then be told that this was pointless because everyone would have to apply for settled status, to then be told by David Davis 2 weeks ago that permanent residents would not have to make a full application for settled status, and so we considered making that application again, to then be told online that this would not be valid after Brexit, and then by Amber Rudd that there was no point because everyone will have to apply for settled status biometric residence permits. Now, there's something about the use of biometric there which makes me think this will be anything but a simple process. And even then, what will settled status even mean? And what will that process involve? No, who knows? Dr Rebecca Zahn from the University of Strathclyde stated that this new status is particularly problematic because it creates legal uncertainty for landlords, employers and even the National Health Service with regard to knowing whether an EU national can be treated, on what grounds they can be treated post-Brexit, depending on what status they fall into. My husband is just one of the thousands of EU citizens who've built their life in this country, who have absolutely no say and no control over the negotiations, which will determine not only their future, but their families and my family's future here. There was no clear defined plan going into these negotiations. There has been backtracking during negotiations and still no clear idea of what our relationship with the EU will be post-negotiations, all of which means a lack of clarity for EU citizens here and UK citizens abroad. That's why, in this Parliament, we have to work together to press the UK Government to immediately guarantee the rights of EU citizens in this country and provide some certainty for their future. Because right now, the only certainty in all of this is that no matter what the outcome of the Brexit negotiations is, whether it's a soft exit, a hard exit or a no-deal scenario, Scotland will lose out.
Thank you very much.